Hey guys, Scott, Modeler X, how's it going? So we have the first base coat of paint down on the D7 here. We're using a couple of Model Master colors. One of them is 2115, which is Japan Army Light Gray, and then number 2037, Flint Gray. And the Flint Gray is on the top. So this right here is the Imperial Japanese Light Gray, which is really kind of light green. It's a real, I think, real good color for that sort of green D7 look. And obviously the Flint Gray on the top surfaces. Going to be using these sanding sticks here along with some 1000 grit sandpaper to kind of get some of the little powdery effect that dull paints have with them sometimes, especially when you get near a an angled surface. The airbrush paint coming out kind of creates sort of a little rough area, so you got to sand those things out. Sort of see that. Already been sanding on that top surface, kind of where the crease is in the middle of the bat wing. You have to work on that a little bit more. I'm real pleased with the colors though. There's the Flint Gray on the top of the bridge section there. So we'll proceed in getting this thing sanded out. Then we are going to, I got a new gloss coat from Duplicolor. I'm going to give that a shot on this model, see how that works, and we can all experience together. So we'll be back in just a jiffy after we get the gloss coat on here. Last step was to gloss after we finish the painting, and I'm trying out a new product here. This is the Duplicolor Gloss Clear Coat. I ordered this online. It was about 30 bucks. I think that's right, 30 bucks, 20 to 30 bucks. But there's a lot of it. It's 32 ounces, and in comparison to some of the glosses for the modeling world, that's really not too bad. So I put one coat on this, and I just used my airbrush and used a eyedropper and opened the can and just dropped it right into the paint cup and just sprayed away, trying to get a coat on here. The one weird thing is that, let me zoom in on this, there's all these just weird, it almost looks like cotton or spider webs, especially like right in there, if you can see that. And you know, I can definitely take, you know, a scraper and pull that all out, but it's just weird. I've never seen a gloss behave like this, and it's really pronounced on the back side. Get the light here to kind of highlight that. It's like almost like spider webs, which is so weird. Obviously we're going to clean this up, but Duplicolor, I'm not sure what you're doing to me here. And granted, I am experimenting a little bit, just trying a new product out. And in terms of the surface finish, I'm not sure I'm completely comfortable putting decals on this yet, which was my intent. Get a gloss down so I can put decals on. Oops, sorry, those are the power wires kind of flipping in the way. But it's just kind of weird. So anyways, we'll give this another chapter. We'll make this one brief and see what we can do about the spider webs. See, there's another good one right there. So anyways, thanks for tuning in to Modeler X, and we will see in the next chapter. There's detail parts. They're chromed. I think I'm going to strip the chrome. Strip the chrome off and repaint them either with aluminum or something dark, something kind of, well used, so it's not so shiny and bright. And then we'll get into some weathering. Obviously decals first, and then we'll get into weathering, and then hopefully seal this whole thing up with a dull coat without spider webs. And we'll go from there. Okay, a little bonus section here. I want to get the chrome off of the chrome parts. And so I did a little research, and it sounds like bleach could do the trick. So I put them in a little tray here and weighted them down with some CDs, old CDs that I'm not using, and let them sit overnight, and that actually did not work. It worked a little bit, but it's this tough Klingon chrome, I guess. So a little more research came up with this. It's called Super Clean. Picked it up at the O'Reilly's Auto Parts store, and it actually is purple. I poured some in this tray here and put the parts in. The YouTube I was watching, the guy actually did it real time, and it took about 4 minutes to strip chrome off of an old, I think it was a Hot Wheels car you had. And so, let's see what we got going here. He was agitating it, kind of just like this, just swirling it around. So, tell you what, I will, let's take this off camera so you don't have to sit here and get dizzy by purple fluid going back and forth in a tray. And we'll be right back. We have finished this, and as you can see, all the chrome's gone, the exception of a little bit in this little nook and cranny there. I have been using a toothbrush, just an old toothbrush, kind of scratch off, the surfaces here. But pretty much the chemical did all the work, and I'm not sure exactly which chemical it is that takes the chrome off. Here's the two pieces for the engineering section. Those probably came out the best. There is a little bit of like yellow residue down in the crease, or in the little grooves here. Not sure if that's going to affect paint or not, and I'm not sure why this chrome was so difficult to get off. The bleach method just didn't work at all. Well, it kind of worked on a few of the pieces, but a majority of the chrome was still there. And this, where it was supposed to take about 2 or 3 minutes in a soak to remove the chrome, took easily 15-20 minutes, but it did eventually do the job. So there we go. Let's go get these suckers painted up. The whole point of removing the chrome was so that they wouldn't be so jump outy on the model. I'm going to use some of the metallics from Alclad, some of the darker ones, to kind of give it a shine, but also make it look a little more, used industrial equipment sort of look around some details of the D7, and I think that'll come out pretty good. So back with that in just a second. Alright, so we're out in the spray booth, and we have the Klingon D7 parts that we're going to hit with some metallic here. I'm going to set my airbrush air pressure at, let's do 15 psi. We're going to do a lot of light coats on this. So I'm using my Grex airbrush here, tried and true Trooper, well used. The Alclad is their steel, which looks pretty dark. I'm interested to see how this is going to come out, because usually steel, at least like the Tester's variety, is not this dark. So let's just measure out. Oh boy, this is almost black. Oops, we're dripping. That's not good. So I'm going to clean this up real quick. So we'll see how this turns out. Given that we just got something on the parts here, I'm going to hit it with a heat gun, kind of dry any of that lacquer that got on there. And first thing I'm going to do is hit this with some adhesion promoter. This is the Duplicolor product, which I'm sure is pretty well used. in the industry. We'll hit that with the dryer. Heat gun, it's not a dryer. Alright, now let's get our, for the Alclad stuff, I just use straight lacquer thinner to thin it. So I'm going to kind of prime the airbrush with, come on baby, a little bit of a lacquer thinner, sort of get everything ready. Usually put like 1 or 2 drops in there preceding the paint. And the paint is, the Alclad is always pretty runny, so I rarely have to thin it. So we're just going to pour that on in there, the paint cup, and see what we can do here. Alright, this Alclad tends to separate, so put a drop of lacquer thinner in there, kind of stir it around. Want the metallic flakes to be floating around, and we'll hit this again. This does seem to be coming out darker than I had envisioned. This might work. Let's do another coat here. You want to make sure that the back end of these get the coat, because those are going to be exposed. Alright, looks like we're out. And I'm actually pretty happy with the coverage there. So let's hit this with the gun again. And we'll head back in and see what we got. Okay, we're back. We got the pieces off here, and let's take a look at them. And I think I am liking the way that looks, as is. So let's, and then these little guys go in this general area, and I know those little guys go on the bottom there. I think we'll take this area and turn it the same steel color, then we'll do something to highlight that little, the Klingons thought it was a trapezoid, but it's actually not. So maybe gold, copper, something to jump out and make that detail a little more interesting. And those look good too, so let's get some glue out here. remove some paint so we get good bonding and go from there. So that's empty. So get the acetone out. Some cotton swabs. Plastic cement. And let's go to work here. So let's attach these guys first. We'll just sort of clean off the paint on the inside of this detail piece. Trying to make sure that we don't do anything other than expose the plastic. We don't want to lose any of our painting detail. And that looks good there. Same on the other side. All right. And then let's take this one and do the same thing to the top edge and the front, and we'll leave the other two painted. So then we'll use our tester's cement, put that along the top, get a nice steady bead, and along the front. And then I'm going to grab this the parrot tweezers. The back side, and then we'll finish putting our glue here. Alright, let's get this thing on. Alright, I'm liking that, so let's do the same thing for the other one. Oops, we need that. We'll drop this in place on the back. A little bit of glue on the front there. Let's take that off. Yeah, we have to touch that up. But otherwise, I think we're in good shape. All right. One step closer. Now I notice on the instructions that these are supposed to, this front little detail is supposed to hook into another piece which is missing. It's like a detail on the surface of the warp engine which shows up on the drawings but does not show up in the plastics. So I guess we're just going to leave that, and given these are sitting on top of already painted material without gloss coat on it already, we're going to have to be real careful in stripping that paint, I may do it with an X-Acto knife, so why don't we do that now? Additionally, since these are still on the sprue, they'll need a little of the Alclad steel to touch up where we cut it. Let's get a knife out here. Get these boys cut off. Let's be real careful. These are all the same part, number 105, but I think if we're careful about where we attach these, depending on where we have sprue exposed to touch up, we'll kind of clean these guys up a little bit. Yeah, we'll have to clean that one up. Oh well. It's nice to have them already painted though, then you don't have to glue them on and then mask them. Just hopefully have a little bit of work to overcome that. I actually really like this color now that I'm working with it. It's called Steel, but it seems really dark, like way darker than the Tester's variety. All right, and the bottom sides are virtually clean. Let's get a... Hey folks, welcome back. Apparently the recording device ran out of space because some people who will remain my children installed every version of Angry Birds on this tablet. So, anyways, we were in the middle of attaching the newly steeled old chrome parts, and we've got those two taken care of. In the meantime, I have affixed that one there, and I did affix that one there. Part of what was going on when the machine had stopped was I was going through how we are preparing both the piece and then this nacelle areas for us to attach that so that we get a good bond. So we need to remove all the paint, and then we need a we still got all this sort of spider web stuff from the gloss, from the Duplicolor clear gloss. I was thinking about that. I think perhaps I was too far away when I was spraying model to airbrush tip, and it probably solidified while it was in the air and hit it as like a strand of solid gunk. So anyways, task right now, we're going to scrape, there's 6 ribs in each side of these nacelles in detail, and the little piece here covers exactly 4 of them, the middle 4. So what I've been doing is we did sandpaper the underside of all these pieces that we painted, and then I was just taking a hobby knife here and just real carefully scraping the top 2 ribs on either side of the center line with the hobby knife, trying to make sure we don't do anything drastic and hurt any other of the detail on the kit. So do this again here. Fortunately, that seems to work out pretty good. Probably blocking the camera right now. Sorry about that. This is a little tricky. With just the shape of this ship. Alright. And then let's do repeat on the other side. the first time I finally do a longer how-to video. Get snagged by technology. Let's see here. This is not, let's see, we'll do it like this. Alright, that looks pretty good. So now let's pick the piece here that is going to exhibit its cut mark and make sure that faces the bottom. And then, let's see, get out our glue again, and we'll go ahead and put it on a pair of locking tweezers and just be real sparing with the amount of glue. Oop, I did it too much already. Jeez. Alright, stop that. Alright. This thing's going a little nuts here. And then, let's see. That one goes on this side. We'll just sort of butt this up against that back ridge and let her drop down. And then we will position this with our fingers. Push it down nice and tight. And that one, oh, that one's kind of sliding around. The other ones on the back sprue cut mark was actually getting masked by the very end cap of the nacelle, but that one not so much. So we'll have to include that as part of our paint touch-up. Let's do this other one here. See if we can be a little more sparing with the glue. This stuff starts coming out pretty quick. All right. Oh shoot, it's sticking to the tweezers. There we go. That's why if you can keep the glue sparing, you don't have that problem. Alright. I think those two pieces are good to go, meaning our four pieces are doing their thing, and I actually really like how that looks with the real sort of dark metallic against that green. I'm glad that Alclad was the way it was. Okay, so we have four more pieces. Two go right where the neck attaches, where the boom attaches to the main body on either side, and then two go underneath the nacelles, and they have it's the same part number, so hopefully the holes have kind of gotten gummed up through the putty process, so we'll definitely have to make sure that those are cleaned out and will fit flush. Let's work on those first. So once again, cut these off the sprue, acknowledging that we'll have to do a little touch-up with this color to cover up the Klingon blue plastic color. Alright. And we'll just lightly scrape those off. Kind of clean up where this little peg on the underside of this piece. That one doesn't look too bad. Now the trick here is we're going to have to make sure the pegs are half circles, which I don't know why they did that, because there's no reason to key the thing because they're the same part. So let's just get a number 11, and since it'll all be covered up, let's just make a nice round hole in the bottom of this. Just being real delicate how we carve this out so we don't make a mess of our putty work. But you can get the blade to twirl. You're usually in good shape. So let's see, it's kind of off center, so let's and that's not big enough yet, so let's continue to twirl. If you catch an edge, just kind of back the knife off a little bit. You don't want to take too much material off, which I might have done right there, but let's see how she goes. No, we need a little more material. Oh shoot. Alright, well I split that nacelle in half. Ah, dang it. That was what I was fearing. Well, the hole's big enough now. So for emergency repair, let's see if we can't get some Tester's liquid and capillary action that thing down that seam without ruining the paint job. So here's Tester's liquid. I think it's 3502, the part number. And one of the handy things I have is this old drafting pen. It's meant for like having ink in it. I don't know if you can see that. And you can adjust how close the two sides by adjusting this thing from a real open deal to really small. And this is a gem for applying. I don't use it with CA because that'll gum it up, but this stuff evaporates off of it. So it's Tester's liquid cement, and we're gonna have to let this thing dry overnight, but I'd rather do that than have to go through the whole paint process again. So I'm just gonna touch this, and it already ran down the seam, or the crack I should say. Let's do this on the other side too. And just kind of push that together. See if we are lucky enough to get away without having to redo a whole seam on the bottom of the warp engine with putty and sanding and re-priming and repainting, etc. Dang it, wish I hadn't done that, but we'll see what happens. Alright, so that's glued. Now I guess I may go at this other side differently. I may do this with a drill instead. Let's get a pin vise out. So let's see here. Looks like that's about the size of it. So let's see if we can. Oops, I need a smaller chuck. Bear with me just a sec here. Alright, we'll do that one. Alright, pin vise. So let's put that up there. And then I'm going to really carefully try to spin this. There's already sort of a half circle hole there. I'll try to carve off the other end with the sharp edge of this drill bit, and then we'll slowly start twirling it to get it down in there. Alright, so that kind of worked out a little bit better. I wish I had done that the first time. Let's see if this other one fits. We may have to go to the next sizer bit. Yep. Let's see if this one fits. Nope. So let's just go up one size in our bit. And this is, I just drilled out a 5/64. This is a 3/32. And we'll just lightly rest that on top of the existing hole, and then slowly just start turning it, putting hardly any pressure on it till it kind of grabs it. And we want it to chew through the plastic, not push the plastic in opposite directions, which will crack it, like is what I did with my hobby knife. Alright, there we go. Now let's see if it likes that one. Oh, shoot, we may have to go one more. Actually, that one kind of fits on there. I'm going to take that one to be a winner. Actually, that looks perfect. Again, it's a nice snug fit. So, let's drag our hobby knife across each of the edges of this so it's got clean plastic. And the trick, I'm going to put this in here, and then very carefully with the hobby knife I'm going to mark the inside and outside edges of this. And I don't know, let's see here. Alright, so now let's scrape a little plastic. Try to keep it on the inside of that, making as close as we can to a straight line with the hobby knife. You can see now the primer, we'll just scrape a little deeper and get down to the bare plastic. We may have a little touch up on that. Let's see. Alright, so, not sure if you can see that. We kind of just scraped as straight a line as we could with our number 11 knife on either side of that hole. And so now, we put it in. It's going to sit nice and flush on the bottom side of that nacelle. Alright, so we're fitting good. Let's glue this one. Get our tweezers again. Some glue on the peg too, so hopefully that'll grab. grab the napkin real quick because I had a little bit of tester's glue on my fingers, and the last thing you want to do is touch a finished surface with tester's glue on your fingers. It's a permanent finger mark. Alright, that one looks good. So other one, we'll wait for that to dry. That seam that we hopefully decracked. And let's work on the last two pieces, which are the ones that are near the neck. All right, these are 103, 104. Let's take a look at these and clean them up just a little bit. And inside seems pretty clean. Put that sprue mark on a obscured spot, so I'll just scrape the paint off of this little bottom thing, since that's going to be sitting on the model. Actually, we can clean that piece off too. That's hidden, that's hidden. So pretty much all that's hidden except for that piece, or the top and the outside side of that, which is great. Can be liberal in our cleaning of the part without having to worry about repainting it later. Let's see here. This is my talking to myself voice, by the way. You just get to listen. Alright, now we need to clean the green paint off of here so we get a good adherence. I'm tempted to scrape with a hobby knife as opposed to using acetone. The last thing I want is acetone dripping down the bottom of this thing and ruining the green paint. So I'm just gonna carefully, oops, we got kind of a, alright, we cut that out. So I'm just gonna take the hobby knife, I'm sure you can see this, just number 10, I'm just grabbing it, poke it right in the corner, and pull the blade forward in a scraping action. And we'll get down to plastic. We'll do the same thing in this little area. Looks like we've accumulated some gunk. And we'll just if you kind of just point that round edge right at the very tip, you can kind of keep it from scraping things you don't want it to scrape. It takes a little bit of time to sort of get the hang of that, but after a while you'll be a pro. Let's do the other side here. And this is not a structural piece, so I'm not concerned with having every single surface cemented, because I'd be surprised if it would take quite a bit of pressure to pull one of these off, given that it's not in a stress point. So we can just, if we can just expose some plastic so we get a little bit of bonding, I think we'll be in good shape. Gonna do one there, and same on the other side. All right, so now let's do a little test fitting. It's kind of got a nasty edge on it. A little flash. All right, that looks good. Oh, that's going to be great. All right, so let's glue you. And so we want, let's get the tweezers, and as this goes, we have exposed on the bottom. We'll put some on the very back, and then some along this inside seam and down on the bottom seam. And then actually I'll do just a little bit on the front too. Guess it can't hurt. So here's the two glued on. Everything's working, everything's clicking. So we're gonna call it a wrap for tonight. And thanks for tuning in to Modeler X. And we'll do a little more detailed painting on some of the boom items, as well as decaling next, which is a fun part. So see you soon for that. And thanks again for tuning in.